Hello and Happy New Year. So welcome to anybody who has managed to get on here at this time of the day with this amount of notice. Anyway, it's been a spectacular day here in New Zealand, in my neck of the woods anyway. It's been this exquisite summer's day, and I went to the farmer's market this morning and listened to some lovely live music and bought some beautiful fruit and vegetables and some seed bread, so I'm very happy about all of that. So some places are having, I know that we're in summer here and that those in the northern hemisphere are in winter, but many of us are having extreme versions of that. Hello, Jackie. What's Steve's advice? So I want to say that I wrote this, how do we prepare for this new era, to just be kind of really inviting people to be considering it, because I feel that we're being presented with the brand new, but we don't really know bikini and getting raised. Yeah, exactly. I got burnt yesterday out on the beach. I listened to Barbara O'Neill, who is this Australian woman who seems to know a lot of information about the body and nutrition. And she said this really interesting thing. She said that if you don't wear sunglasses, then what happens is the eyes have these particular receptors that send messages to the skin. So the eyes note the intensity of the light, the whatever is happening with the sun, and sends messages to the skin to close down, to shut down some of the aspects of the skin. And forgive me for not remembering all the details of it, but it's how we don't get sunburn. But because of my eye, I wore my sunglasses yesterday. And yeah, I did get a bit burnt. So I feel that we're in this time, this very unknown time, this very uncertain time, and that we can see it as a way to become comfortable with the uncomfortable, to become smooth with the unknown, to be enjoying the dance of the new territory. So I want to say that the general rules of thumb, if you like, of how do we prepare for this new era is to just be prepared in a way of being curious, because I want to say we are, and we're already witnessing that, aren't we? This idea that there is a lot that's going to change. We're in huge change. We know that. Most of us are probably feeling quite excited about that and excited anticipation about it. But for some people, it will bring a lot of dread. The uncertainty will bring a huge wobble. And so the more that we can be, in our center and in our own peace and be okay with what is and what isn't happening, the more that we can exude that energetic in and around us. So I want to say the key thing is just to let the old one go. So we don't have to go and rip down the walls. We don't have to go and change everything around us. We'll be guided to slowly be witnessing the dissolution. We'll be guided to change things out and swap new things in. It will be this, the turning of the sod. You can think of it like that. So we'll turn over the old and then the new will arise, the new will grow. It will be more organic. That's actually a really nice analogy. So I want to say we do our own work, we come into our own awareness, we do our own healing, we come into our own wholeness, into our own alignment, into our own empowerment. and be the observer and be excited about what's to come, even when we don't know what it is. Hello, Stacey, and hello, Sarah. And then we're in this integration. So there's this idea that we have spoken about before, which is that we are receiving these fractals of self. So these fractals of us from our old lives, from our old energetics, from our past information, from codes from the sun, the heavenly realms, the moon, the stars, the moon, a few, like my perception of the moon is that it is partly organic and partly mechanical, but that's as much as I've kind of delved into that. So I'm going to say be open, be curious about what is to come, and look for the opportunity for this brand new and what is in this brand new, what that might bring, what that might arouse in your creativity, arouse in your conversation. Because it's going to enable us to operate differently, to move more collaboratively. I've got quite a lot of notes here. And to be working for greater good. We all know that that's the key here, is that we're moving from service to self to service to others. Most of us already engage in that in some form or another, but this is the world view is shifting more and more to that. We are, of course, becoming more heart-centered rather than logical, head-centered. So it isn't that the head doesn't have a role, but that things are being more heartfelt, that things are being more love-based, that really no matter what the question is, the answer is love. And we're on this untested ground in new territory. Our nervous system is having, moments really of being on high alert because it's receiving it. The receptors of the nervous system are receiving codes and frequencies that are brand new, that are totally unknown, and there's quite a lot of them. So our network of nerves, our spinal cord and our brain, that's what makes up our nervous system, and they are sensing the new and unfamiliar. So that's sort of one aspect of our experience. So I want to dive back to just a couple of days ago and just catch up with some things that I haven't shared. So I want to tell you that I suspect that something happened, and I meant to look it up and I didn't, but I suspect. So on the 10th when I tuned into the energies, I had this whole sense of being at a still point, being in pause. And then when I tuned into that, it was, the imagery I got was, as though the top or the something, a planet. So I'm wondering whether did a planet stop its spin in preparation for moving into the opposite direction? Because that was my sense of the energies on the 10th. And you will have all heard this, but it's a really nice reminder that saying, if you think you are insignificant and small, or if you think that being small is insignificant, try spending the night in a tent with a mosquito. And that came to my mind when I was writing these notes on the 10th, that we need to remember that, do not underestimate the impact that you being you can have on the people around you. And that is your effect. And that's also our effect as humanity and as planet Earth on the multiverse, is that we are this little tiny planet in the multiverse, and yet what we do ripples out and affects this galaxy and the galaxies beyond, which is why I've always said that we will not be allowed to self-destruct and that we will not be allowed to have a major nuclear event because it impacts, right, it ripples through the galaxy and beyond. Yeah. So this is bits and pieces, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm sure that you'll be okay with it as well. So I got shown this imagery. So if you imagine, let's say, 20 odd vehicles have parked themselves into a circle with their bonnets facing inwards. So an entire circle of cars. And that it's dusk, and as it becomes dark, they all turn their headlights on. So imagine that. This is what we are doing. This is what the Lightworker community is doing. This is the analogy that we are gathering in our cars in a circle with the lights off, facing the headlamps into the center, and there is a signal that comes for all headlights to be turned on at once, to be switched on full. And this is the impact that, oh, that's interesting. This is the impact that divine unions are going to have on the illumination of the world. So this is where the last of the darkness will be largely eliminated. So we're on the, of course, we're on the leading edge of change, but we are, on the sort of countdown to that time. I want to say to you to brace yourselves in terms of your own inner strength, to really hold yourself strong and erect and balanced, to be in the practice of that. I also want to suggest, well, I'm happy to receive other ideas, but I want to suggest, and I need to do it on my own copy as well, is to throw the word success out the window and replace it with, I'm saying alignment, but I am really putting it to you that we could look to see what are some of the other words that might fit, because success has so many attachments to it. We're definitely in this greater heart thing, this idea of becoming more heart-centered, of our hearts opening more, of everybody's, and of our diving more into it. And so this is writing that came through on the 10th. As you dive into your own heart, notice the symmetry, the wings, the movement, the expansion. Feel the resonant hum of satisfaction, the internal purr of your new body's motor, creating a harmonic resonance, an energetic field, your new bioenergetic essence. Internal connection waves, like wings of a butterfly, a sonic system, a flat toroidal field. This newness laid in the first 8 days of this year, the sounds of silence, the beauty of creation, internal activation, light code emission, gift activation, to the higher, to the next level. Biophotonic resonance system of the new, of the sparkling, of the luminescence. Who are you now? And then came the post that I did post, but I will read, of the taste of the 8. The introduction taster energies of 2024 have come into the earth, to humanity, like luminescent fairy dust, to land in your hair, on your lashes, dusting your skin, a lightness, a touch, an experience. To harmonize your body, in receipt of the new. I'm going all goosey now. Further saturation will be built over this year as this light begins its renewal of all sentient beings. And each of the elements, the air, the water, the earth, the fire, the ether, and of course all impacting the crystalline or the crystalline. The time of the pearlescence has arrived in the physical, the feminine spectrum coming to assist us all in our higher feminine aspects of creation. And a long time ago, God showed me this, and you might have heard me speak of it, these two sort of sets of taps or spigots. They showed up as brass spigots, and they were like this, a bar like this and another bar like this. And he said that's the masculine and that's the feminine. And the feminine were those pearlescent, those opalescent, those soft, take white and put a drop of ink or a drop of pigment into it. And you get these little soft sort of colours in here that the light doesn't pick up so well. But this is the feminine spectrum. That's what Father God showed me, that we were going to have this feminine spectrum of colours and then the masculine. And the masculine is the jewel colours, the sapphire, the ruby, the amethyst, the emerald. And the feminine is, the pearls. These are pink pearls from Vietnam. And it's the opalescent, it's the sparkly sort of, it's like taking this here. This is like taking this kind of quartz and adding a little spot of pigment to it. And so this, we're watching this come in the rainbow fractals that are everywhere in our sky, and we're watching it come in the soft opalescent and people noticing all of that. So we're really coming into this internal balancing so that we can create the external. And that reminds me, the collective conversations, if you wanted to join that, we're launching that. First session is on Tuesday in a couple of days. So if you did want to join into that group, that's 10 90-minute sessions over the next 10 weeks, holding one another in the beauty of the new and exploring these new energies in a way that's very safe. And you can join that for I think it's $33 US. I think that's 55 New Zealand dollars. It's that much for all 10 weeks, and it's my offering to you as from a suggestion from a friend. And she said that she would really appreciate this kind of support and thought that other feminines would as well. And so I'm offering this to people, to humanity, to male and female, to the men and women. And there are men who have joined to take part as well. So I'm excited about what it's going to open for us, this expanded space of sharing. Okay, so I will carry on. There is a link under the description box under these videos, or you can go to SharronMartin.com and click on courses and sign up there. I'll be sending out an email on the Tuesday with the link for joining in. So Gaia, have I done that? Yes. So Gaia was saying that the luminosity arriving, it brings exceptional clarity and truth. And I've always loved how she showed me how the truth just wouldn't be able to, the lies just wouldn't be able to hold themselves together in any kind of molecular structure when we moved into this higher light. And we certainly are witnessing that now. And this impacts all to release the lower, the dredge, the impurities, the healing of anything left that may require your personal attention. So if you are having a divine counterpart experience, if you like, you are likely feeling that you are disconnected. And I spoke about that in the last video, but I kind of wanted to talk about this nuance that the masculine are unthreading. And if you can imagine that you have a precious basket or kite, this a flax or a grass, a woven basket or kit or bag that's being woven with such love and attention to detail, and this long process taking from the grasses, and then well, in the old world of Māori, when they made the kite, they would make the muka by chewing the flax. So the women would chew the flax, they'd chew the cellulose, sort of glutinous mixture out of the flax, so that they were just left with the strandings, and they would be harvested in a particular way at a particular time and particular leaves, so that the plant could regenerate and grow. Or there's a whole big story about it. So I'm just telling you this because this will give a sense of the love that goes into making a basket. And then they would be washed, and then they would be pounded, and then they would be dried, and then they would be dyed, and then they would be twisted, and then they would be made into things, or they might just be pounded and then made into, or stripped and made into a basket. And so you think about all of the love that goes into that, and you think about the thought, if you think back to them creating fibers, or a lot of sort of more filaments when they're in that sort of space, really. But think of the love and care and attention that goes into that fine weaving. Well, to me, the masculine are undoing the weaving. They're not taking their machete or their sharp knife and cutting it and then pulling it out. They are undoing it. They are unweaving it. This is their process, because they are doing this with the most incredible intention that is beautiful, that holds honor, that holds integrity. And it's integrity of self, of purpose, of process. And so that's kind of the analogy that I want you to be considering if you are going to the place of the masculine have disassociated, or they are not. They're not in communication, or this could all be over. I mean, it could be, but this is my understanding of what they are going through at the moment. And I think that I was saying to a friend today, well, I believe that we go through these loops, and the loops take us on the same track, and we are asked to be looking at the same concepts or constructs or woundings or philosophy or fears. And then what happens is we might do the same loop, but we do it with less triggering, and we do it in a shorter way, and we do it, ultimately we do it without trigger, and we do it in a way where we're just maybe having a little query, and then we spend more time in that place of faith and trust, and knowing that it's all going to be okay as well, and that it's this divine love connection that is timed somewhere outside of our knowing. So, yeah, I want to say that this is your first and primary function, to become whole and centered, empowered, healed, to become fully connected to your own physical body. A lot of people who are very spiritually attuned will have spent probably a good amount of time on the earth, not in their physical body, having to learn how to be grounded and connected into the earth. That will have been a process for many of the divine feminine. And so now we are in this place where we can really be feeling it in the physical, and it's perfect because everything is happening in the physical now. So we've held that space from, up in the land of the etheric. We've seen what's coming. We've often been in disappointment because we've thought our timing was off, but actually it's just been that we've been working through the layers, through the levels, through the spectrums, through the dimensions, and now we are working in the physical. And so, get into the practice of being grounded and being connected in a very physical way. So this is your rudder, the sensory experience that you are having in your body. This is the rudder. This is what helps you navigate. And the heart is your guide. The heart is your navigation tool. The mind is your toolbox. It's a brand new upgraded one, so play with it. I believe that we are going to discover that our gifts are going to be very expanded and heightened. You'll find new tools as well to explore and experiment with. You will be more inner, you will be more contemplative, you will have less of a need for talk and be more energetic in your communication, and this will, I believe, connect through to the connections between twins, divine masculine, divine feminine. As we come into our balance, we return to balance. So we return to balance as us, the organic human, and so does the planet in all of its systems. Also, we have been interfered with, the planet's been interfered with, the intrusion into all of the systems, the ecosystem, the waters, the air, all of that. We're coming back to the organic, and this will put the world to right as we each return to our original divine plan, organic blueprint. The gender balances and rebalances, they are coming online, and they will bring us and create powerful unions for the divine counterparts to build the new on the earth. And so we're in, we're on a bridge. We're on a bridge where we are leaving the old and coming into the new. And the new is, I want to say, it glows, it has a heavenly, paradisical, Edenic feel to it, and that we will collaboratively create it. And the other thing that has been coming up strongly in the languaging of the channeling is this return to the God, Goddess, Kings and Queens, and returning to lead the way. So what came out of my mouth today when I was speaking to somebody, the the Christos lineages, I think, was something like that. The ancient Christed lineages, we're being back into connection to those, to lead the way in balance and power and unity and harmony and reverence and in deep love. That's your job. That's my job. That's our job. And I think that's it. So yeah, there seemed to be some extreme cold going on in the northern hemisphere and some extreme heat going on in some of the southern hemisphere. There'll be a lot of discombobulation going on around us, and so we kind of steer the way by holding a steady course for ourselves. So then our emission is like that, the vibration, the frequency that comes off us, it's steady, it's sure. It will make, especially the children in our world who are very sensitive and attuned. Sorry, my glasses are all of it. They feel it. You know, you when you connect them to them, they feel it. They'll smile at you. They know, and so I kind of get this this idea that the teenagers, they are here, or I mean, there's a spectrum everywhere. But let's say the teenagers are here to smash down the old. They just they see things very clearly, and the younger ones are here to kind of merge the two, and the new ones, they are definitely coming to bring in the new. And of course, all of us are part of this on some level as well. But there's going to be ideas and technologies and processes that come in that will become available, and I believe this year we're going to see more of that made available for us, because we're seeing less of the dark, of the evil. That's definitely, it's really reduced. And there's this whole thing about our that shows up to me, that shows up on the 20th, and it's really interesting, because I said to Gaia, let's talk about 2024, and that was in December, and she said, let's talk about the 20th of January. And then she went on to say that this is, it has a possibility of having a big solar flash, and we might see that and feel that internally or externally. But it seems that this is a potential day for a big event that tips us, and that we're doing that whole spiraling thing, of course. So we're having these activations that take us to the higher. But this is when, on the 20th, so I didn't know this, of course, in my ignorance, but the 20th is when we actually enter the era of Aquarius. And so we are beginning officially, the era of Aquarius begins on the 20th or the 21st. And this is significant. You think about that song, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Well, really, it was written well before its time, but it heralded from the 70s. I think that song may have been written in the 70s, and so it was the beginning sprinkling. The big concert. Honestly, brain function not good. Somebody will know. Anyway, the big concert in the 70s, where it went on for days, and it was that heralded as the wild children, the flower power children, and all of that. All of that was this challenging of the status quo, and it segued into the whole thing about the Vietnam War, and the fact that there was this beginning realization that there were things that went on, there were things that were being done that didn't belong, that weren't right, that weren't taking care of people. And so that was like this sprinkling in of what we're coming into very strongly now. And so our job is to lead the way by being the example of that, by holding steady, by vibrating beautifully, by loving from our hearts, by holding space for trust and clarity and truth, for acknowledging and being in connection with nature, for being grounded into Gaia. And so there'll be more of this, but if you just think about all of those sorts of the sprinklings that started in the 70s, and then right up until now, we're going to hit that in some big waves. That's how I'm showing it. And this feeling wiped out, those have been, I agree, Golden. I was speaking to somebody today, and I said, oh, sorry, I found a breezeway between two doors, and I was sitting in my beanbag, and I nodded off to sleep. And then yesterday there was a wave that came through that I noticed to I think in the early hours of the morning. They're strong because they're new and our bodies are going, what is this? So, we've got, it's like this vibration that we're feeling, we're heating up, even if we're not in summer. I imagine that many of you, that's what I've been showing, like the planet is heating up. There's this vibratory thing going on that's helping us to loosen and release, and then all of that's happening in the micro level in our own bodies and systems. Woodstock, thank you, Golden. Yeah, so the era of Woodstock, and the kinds of lyrics that were written by the Beatles and all of that, you go back in and listen to and read some of the lyrics that John Lennon wrote, for example, and other songwriters of that era, and we are really starting to land those in a tangible way here on the earth. So there's that aspect, and then the those of you, and I know many of you who are on the thread here now are in Divine Counterpart Connections, it is like the masculine are on their own island at the moment, unweaving their beautifully made basket. And they're doing that because it's honouring, it's reverent, and it's in integrity. And it's this idea that they are undoing paradigms, programs, and connections that don't serve them any longer. But some of those need to be rethreaded at a higher level. And so the way in which you disconnect when you are wanting to reconnect, it has to be done in a way that's softly treading. And so they are really in their big awakening, they are becoming much more conscious about who they are and why they're here and what they're here to do, and undoing what isn't feeling right because they're coming into the feeling of their hearts. And so there's a lot of kind of falling away. So a little analogy I was showing today is, if you imagine that there's a small boy inside a big snowman and they're just shaking off all the snow. That's kind of what the masculine are doing at the moment, is they're finding their innocence, they're finding the beauty of themselves and that purity, and then they're rising up into their warriorship. And so the 20th, the 20th of this month is the beginning of the era. And so that's, when I got shown that the 20th was going to be this time that the masculine have big epiphanies, and that, this is already opening up, but that's going to be a lot of bells ringing on the 20th. And I believe within my own being that between now and the end of April, and I think I'm being relatively extended with it. I think it's likely to happen earlier than that. But between now and the end of April, many of these connections are going to be brought into union. And then that starts to build anew, because this is part of what these connections do, is they bring in this higher love, but they also bring in this new way of being, which enables the world to operate differently. Yeah. So much love to you all, and I wish you a beautiful rest of your weekend, and I will see you again soon. Okay, much love. Bye. Alignment. Okay. Thank you, Jackie. Oh, yeah, the notifications are pretty poor, aren't they? Yeah, well, some of my friends say, well, you just have to go out and wave your arm in the sun and you've got a tan, and that's quite true. But I did get a bit burnt yesterday. Hello to Chicago. Hello, Donna Jean. Welcome. So, yeah, enjoy send any questions. If you've got any questions, send them in and I'll see what I can do to answer them. And just a reminder, if you've just joined, that the Collective Conversations Forum opens on Tuesday, so just in a couple of days. So if you wanted to take part in that, leap on and get yourself a link. And I might see some of you there. Okay, bye.